fucking you
Hi,
leave
welcome
that
to
in?
the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I am one of the hosts this evening, Michael, followed by host Sage
Hi, that's me.
and host Kat.
Hi.
And apparently Sage is reliving the Rugrats days. That might be from other things. I only know it from the Rugrats movie,
I think I only know it from that as well.
where Tommy almost kills his brother.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta.
Yeah. We have
Dark.
that clip of Kat being like, he what? Because you didn't remember that?
Yeah. Sure didn't.
What
Anyway.
was the brother's name? Dylan?
Dill. Because
Dill.
it's Dill Pickle. Dill
Oh.
Pickles, I think, actually. The last name's Pickles, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I was Dill, I'd kill my parents.
Just a family of murderers.
Yeah, Tommy Pickles and Dill Pickles.
God fucking damn it.
Yeah, I don't remember what the parents' names were.
Me neither.
Anyway, this is our anime club. We are here to talk about Trigun, which was my pick. And it's as a quick summary, in basically 2 insurance company girls are sent to like deal with this person that is just causing disaster zones
Mass
everywhere
chaos.
he goes, and they're sent by the insurance company to like watch him so he doesn't keep doing disaster things, and for a while hijinks ensue, and
I feel
that's
like
mostly what it starts as.
I feel like in this like wild west like world that they got going on, like
Right.
I'm surprised they even have insurance.
It's
Well,
true.
There's so many
mean-
like different gangs and like gun-slinging bad guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, man. Some people. There's always monsters in the world that need to make money, and
I
they
guess
go and
that's-
make insurance.
I guess that's true.
Do you remember what the fuck the insurance company was called?
Absolutely
No,
not.
I don't either.
I could look it up, but I have no clue.
I can look it up. I know it starts with a B. Bernadellian Insurance
Maybe.
Society.
Bernadelli. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Bernadelli, I think that's right.
But yeah, anyway, so that's what Trigun's basically about. Yeah, so I guess we'll go non-spoiler thoughts just for that, and then we'll go into spoilers
Specifics?
after that. Yeah, so
right.
Sage.
I think I watched this show like a really long time ago when I was a kid, and I remember enjoying it a lot, probably because like the first half is primarily like just episodic like villain of the week, and it's like very goofy, and like I think it has a good sense of humor in it. So that's mainly what I remembered about it. Like I almost completely like blocked out the second half of the show because I don't remember that at all.
It's by the way, it is Bernadelli.
Oh, good. But yeah, I think this show is like just good fun. I find it very entertaining. I don't think a part of me feels like it has this like a same trapping as like Cowboy Bebop, where it's like, oh, now it has a plot.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Where
it just
feel
starts
like,
off as wacky hijinks
right,
and then plot
yeah,
hits.
like, and I'm not here to like besmirch the name of Cowboy Bebop because that's obviously like an all-time classic kind of thing.
Right.
But they are very similar in that kind of way, where it's just like there's a lot of like antics, and then oh, now we're delving into like extremely heavy plot, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, but I think the slight difference there is, at least with Trigun, it is
They devote a lot more time
once
to the
once
plot.
the plot hits, the plot stays.
Yeah, they
unlike
devote way
Cowboy
more
Bebop,
time.
where
Cowboy
it is,
Bebop, I think you get like 4 episodes at the end where it's
Total,
like,
yeah.
oh, now we're gonna start with the plot.
Well, yeah, you get episode 5, episode 12 and 13,
Yeah.
and then episode
Like
23 and
25
24 or
yeah.
whatever, the last 2.
Yeah, like the last 2 episodes. Yeah, so basically 5 episodes
Yeah.
overall, as
You
opposed
get
to
a
like,
1 episode and then 2 double episodes.
Yeah. But I think it's fun. I feel like I was getting a bit of like tonal whiplash throughout the show though. Where things were either like super high stakes, like they're gonna blow up the town, but then they're like doing like goofy faces and like having really corny like sound effects, and I'm like, we gotta pick one here.
Pick a
Just
lane.
pick one for at least the duration of this scene. But other than that, like I thought it was a fun show. Like it's good, just like turn off your brain, enjoy the visuals on screen, because I do think like for the time period, a lot of the visuals look really good. Some frames you can tell are really dated.
Yeah.
I can't really like harp on that because that was the time. Like you
Yeah.
can
I
only
will
do
say
so much.
it still looks
No,
pretty,
I
it looks pretty fucking good.
like,
Madhouse still put their
I feel like a lot of the majority of the show still looks really good. Like compared to like, let's say like anime that came out in 2012 where you watch it now and you're like, ooh, this looks dated. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think this holds up really well. There's just certain keyframes where you look at them and you're like,
Yeah.
that's rough.
But there's a lot of things in this that do look really good. And I think the action especially holds up for the most part.
Yeah, I feel like the action holds up really well. Like, good, strong, smart choreography for the most part.
I feel like everything feels like it has the weight it should.
Yeah, a lot of it, and it makes sense how they do things, which
Yeah.
I enjoy. Because I don't really like, sometimes I don't really mind where it's just like random shooting. But when there's like a little bit of thought behind it, I think it elevates it. You know what I mean?
And I like that like the 4 main characters all have like their own fighting styles.
Yeah.
Like kind of thing.
I think that's smart though. It makes sense.
Like Millie just has that fucking heavy ass like
Yeah,
what looks like a Gatling gun, but it shoots grapple arms.
Yeah.
And
Meryl.
Meryl has just the one-shot, like 50 one-shot pistols. And then, you know, the other guys have things that we can get into when spoilers happen. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
My turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure is.
I didn't like it. Michael.
You can't go into anything beside unless it's a specific.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what. This whole time I'm like, shit. What do I say? Because I'm trying to think
But
of
like, what put you off? Like,
I'm trying to think of like stuff I can say that's like non-spoilers.
I mean, I guess we could just move
just
into
like
the spoilers.
But I mean, like in general, like was the story just not for you? Characters weren't very interesting. Like just at least in like a vague sense of just like.
I guess kind of all. Yeah, you texted being like, oh, well, if you don't like the first half, like, you, because I remember.
Well, because I remember you saying that you're more into like plot than you are just mindless action. So.
Yeah, but I just didn't like this plot. So yeah, I am into plot, but I just didn't like this plot. It wasn't horrible always, but I definitely found myself bored, which was like a big problem of just why I didn't enjoy it. And I actually enjoyed the first half better than the second half, which I didn't think, because the whole time I was watching it, I'm like, I'm so bored. I don't want to do this for all these episodes. But then when it shifted, I'm like, can we go back? Can it go
You
back?
got to the plot and you were like, let's go back to
Yeah, I was just
nothing.
like, can we
There's
go?
no
Can we go,
winning. I don't know how to please her.
can
Wait,
we go
but
back to
Can I ask,
villain of the week?
Can I ask you a question? And like, I don't know if this counts as like spoiler, so just in case, can we just move into it?
Oh, Mike.
Yeah,
go.
sure.
We know your general thoughts. You love
Generally,
this
I
anime.
think generally I
You
think
picked it.
it's fun. I also think the soundtrack slaps. I like basically
Oh, I
every
will say
fucking
the
song
OP
in it.
and the ending credits do not slap skip every time.
No.
Me too.
I
Thank
dis-
you. I thought you were
disagree
about to like
totally.
No,
agree with him,
the
and I was like,
OP,
"Fuck, was it just
I
me?"
like the visuals just fine. That song is so irritating to me.
Yeah.
I literally cannot stand it.
It's
Disagree
like
every time.
I feel like it's fine
You
going
listen to
into it
once,
because it gives you like the vibe. Yeah,
Right.
listen to it once. I was
get,
like, yeah,
get,
it fits.
Get the vibe of the show,
but
you
I
don't
don't
need
like
to
it,
hear
and
it
I
again.
did skip it every single time.
I love the guitar riff in the first OP because it's just the guitar riff, and then I like the ED too. I think it's a really good song. I also I will say in well, no, I can bring it up in the spoilers, I guess. So hey, we're gonna go into spoilers from now on. Sage was all right
You
with it.
had like
Kat
30
was-
years to watch
Kat didn't like it,
Trigun,
and I
so
do,
if you
so-
haven't yet, sorry.
Yeah, all right, spoilers from here
What's
on.
your question?
So, as in terms of the plot, like, did you not like, I guess, like the theme of the plot of like, do Vash and what was the brother's name? Knives and like versus humans, like who truly has free will, like that kind of theme. Like, did
That's
you just
not how I
like
took
that?
the theme.
Really?
I took the theme as
I don't
like,
know how you
dude,
didn't take it as that. I feel like
if they're better than human. No, I always took the theme as
Does
are
it
your
Knives literally say that they are 1,000 times
he
better
does.
than
He does say
humans?
that, but that's not how I took. That's
I
not how I
kept
took the
taking
theme.
about being like, what does like having like free will and like you're making your own choices like truly mean? Like, as humans, are you just living like with like essentially like in a simulation of like you can only do so much because you're human versus like Vash and Knives who are like more than human, where like they have like the more potential to do like, I don't know, more like extravagant, like outlandish things.
I think the reason I agree to an extent that is the theme, but I think that only in the sense that like the morals part. I think the theme is much more about is standing up to your moral compass more important than like doing what's right kind of thing? Or not, maybe that's doing what's right, but I think that the theme is more about how he consistently is trying to stick to this moral he has when so many people are telling him it's fucking pointless of not hurting people. I think that's more about his moral code than it is them being better than humans or not, because
I don't think it's about being better than humans either.
Well, but I mean, like, because I think he's never brought that up, and I think Knives brings that up because Knives thinks he's better, but Vash is like, no, it's just about like I don't think
but
that
doesn't mean that that's not like the theme. Yes, that's like the whole point that Vash doesn't think that, but Knives does.
Right. No, I get that just because characters disagree doesn't make it that, but I think the theme to me at least was more so about
themes.
Yeah, but to me, I've always
like
took
the general arching theme.
I've always took that being more about like your morals versus like what other people say is what's right and what you view as right.
Right.
That's how I've always taken it.
The reason why I took it as like the free will thing is because like they also, I'm sorry, every time they say Rem, I'm just getting like war flashbacks to
season 1
1
of ReZero.
ReZero, and I'm like,
also I will say that because that reminds me, I remembered the song that she sings being way better than she actually performs it. The Japanese is actually way better than the English version.
Yeah, I believe that.
I thought when I first watched it, I remembered it being like, this is really good, and then when I heard it again, I was like, oh, this is not as good as I thought it was. Like, it's still fine,
right?
Like, but it's not as good as it was,
right?
And I have the soundtrack to Trigun on my phone, and the Japanese version is pretty stellar,
right? But yeah, the reason why like I took it as like a free will kind of thing is because she's always like, the mantra that he essentially like took on from her is that like no person has the right to like choose when another person dies kind of thing. Whereas Knives is like, no, let's just exterminate all of them. And then we'll build like a better like race essentially. And like,
which I don't really know. What was his plan?
His plan was not about a better race. It was about helping because they are the beings inside the power plants. His point was that they are being subject to like servitude,
right?
And he just wants that to not be the case. That was all he wanted. And Vash disagrees because he's like, nah, bro, they're pretty content living in their outer universe shit. Like, it's not like we're doing anything to them. And he's like, yeah, we're not in there, but they're fine. Like, because he's interacted with them multiple times. Like, they're in their own space. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's not like it's not like they're being hurt by being in there. And I don't think that it like is a difference because I don't think they're really contained either. Like, I don't know. It's kind of vague in that sense. But his point is that they shouldn't be contained to the generators. And Vash is like, we shouldn't be around like for this anyway. Like, we're not normal,
right?
So is basic is at least how I always took it. So it's not that Vash thinks, Knives is like, yeah, fuck humans, we're gonna make a better race. It's we are better and we shouldn't be contained, so fuck them. Or Vash is like, nah, shit's chill, dude. Like stop killing people for no reason.
Also, for some reason, the last episode really threw me off, where the first half was just a flashback of the entire show, and I was like,
they did that in like the middle too.
Episode 13.
Yeah.
The only problem with episode 13 is that it is both a flashback and not a flashback.
I know. So I am actually glad that I started like skipping around, because I was like, just in case, because I was sitting there watching. I was like, I just fucking watched this all day today. Like, I really don't need this recap. I get it. If you're going week to week, like,
yeah, sometimes you need it.
But I don't need this. So I started skipping around, and I actually found like when it became plot, and I'm like, good thing I wasn't just like,
yeah, because it's the first like 5 minutes, and then the last like.
No, I feel like it's like a whole half.
Yeah,
I feel like it's half and half.
But because that's when you see like how fucked up his body is from his morals, and I think that's a great scene.
No,
right, I think so too.
I remember actually why I did, because while they were like recapping, you do see her like writing it and getting frustrated, and that's why I thought, I'm like, let me just like look just to make sure instead of just skipping it, because they were writing like that. And I would have been so fucking confused if I just like skipped over that and been like, wait, what where did this come from?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about Millie because this made me very confused towards the end where her and Wolfwood just
Bang.
fall in love out of literal thin air, and then he dies.
I didn't
Thin
think
air.
I didn't
They've
think
been,
it was
they're
out of
building that
nowhere.
up since the first time they met.
Yeah.
I literally did not get that vibe at all.
Especially when they were with those like 2 kids.
Yeah.
I didn't get that vibe at all. And
Really?
and then he
when
dies.
she's immediately like when she's carrying that kid and it looks like she's pregnant, and then she makes the joke and he's like, maybe one day.
And then like he dies and she takes his gun. I was just like, what?
You just apparently are blind.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you there. Kat doesn't even like the show.
And I at least saw
I just
that.
didn't get that vibe. And then they had the whole thing of like, oh, we could have had kids, and I was like,
it keeps the momentum of
Hello?
once you bang in a show, you're fucked, dude. And I know you didn't like the show, so you probably won't agree, but Wolfwood's death is impactful to me every time. It's so sad. Like that man's fighting for his life. He's trying to make it all work out, and then he tries to do what Vash always does, and it bites him in the ass.
I think the scene of him like with his like cross gun,
Which
and
is
he's
the
like
fucking raddest weapon ever.
and he's like on his knees and like the sunbeam in the church. I'm like, that's so fucking good. That's so fucking good.
and
like just the visual alone, I'm like, that's top tier.
I love that, like, it starts off with him accepting it, and he's
yes,
like, yeah,
and then he's like,
this makes sense.
no, what the fuck?
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want to die yet. Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah,
I should
like,
live.
I should be allowed
have
to
more
keep
to
going.
do.
Yeah.
And then he dies in that, like, moment of being like, fuck this, I don't want to.
Right.
Because I feel like it subverts the expectation, right? Because, like, in most anime, when somebody says that, like, they're like, all right, I'm going to fucking make this work. Like,
yeah,
what's
like
the
fight
the
through,
block out? Yeah.
fight through the
Yeah.
pain.
But
type thing.
like, no, he realizes he doesn't want to die.
Right.
And that's when he finally
but
dies.
like he's only human,
Yeah.
so he can't hold on forever.
And I love a lot about that scene. I love the episodes that lead to him finally realizing that Vash might be right, his ways are wrong.
Right.
And then even when he tries to do what Vash does, it ends up like fucking him over because the person he put his trust in was the wrong person.
Right.
And then he just realizes, like, you know, I really tried. I tried to be a better person. You get that flashback of his past and how like fucked up it is.
Right.
And I think that, like, I think Wolfwood is by far like the best character in the show personally.
I think he's very interesting. My only thing with him is, and I don't know if this was just me, but the reveal that he was part of like the Gunslingers or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck their name was, like that group.
Mhm.
I felt like that reveal was a little bit weak. Only
I feel like they hinted at it. Didn't
like
they?
no, it's
They
not
did.
that they didn't
Yeah.
hint at it. I just feel like the way they presented it just felt a little like anticlimactic, where I was just like, all right,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
But I feel like also hinting at it kind of makes something weaker.
Ma-
Like then just like out of the blue would be
But
more
I-
like shocking, I guess.
But I feel like also like it's kind of a double-edged sword because you don't want it to be like so out of the blue that it doesn't make sense in context
Yeah,
of what
that's
you're
true.
watching. You know,
how you felt about him and Millie.
it's basically
The thing that you just missed though.
where I literally got blindsided
Literally.
by that shit. I was like, what the
But
fuck?
literally at the beginning, like, when they first meet, even on the bus, he like sleeps on her.
The
and
gung
then,
ho
like,
guns.
Gun ho guns. That's it. Thank
Um,
you.
He sleeps on her, and then like she looks really content. Like there has been, I don't know what
There
you
could
didn't
be.
see.
I literally
think
don't
maybe-
know how
may-
you missed it.
I think
Yeah.
maybe I just like blocked it out of my mind because I just did not care.
Yeah.
I don't know how you missed it at all. But like, because I think that him and Millie are also like I think that their relationship and the way like it goes about it is really interesting, just because of like how like opposite they kind of are.
Right.
In the same vein that like Meryl is like, no, I'm doing all this shit for Vash. I don't give a fuck. And like when Wolfwood dies and Millie's, you know, like fucking destroyed, and Vash leaves, he's like, I can't bring anyone else on this. Like, he's dead. Like, fuck this. I'm not bringing you people with me. And while Millie is like still crying, she's like, we need to go after him. He's your man. We're gonna fucking do this.
Yeah, we gotta
and
go
she's
get you
still
your
crying
mans.
about it. And it's like, dude, I love that scene. Like,
That is a very good scene.
I think there are like a lot of strong moments. Like I can understand that, like, not necessarily the story might not be for like everybody, but I think inherently it is a very character-driven show, and I think all the characters have like strong enough personalities and that like it can carry it through. Like even early on with Vash, it starts off as like he seems like a goofball, like womanizer, like, you know, a lot of characters from those time periods of anime too. And then there's like that episode, like maybe in the second or third episode, where he saves a town, and like the town, like the like mayor sends like prostitutes to go like hang out with him,
Right.
Yeah.
and they're like, he's like, he drank too much, he's just out, like no matter what we do. And he was like, damn, I didn't think he drank that much. And then it cuts into his room, and he just immediately is like, he just opens his eyes and he's completely fine. He's like,
All right.
yeah. Like I feel like that's like, you know, that's the start of you realizing like, oh, like you'd think he'd be all over this. He's been acting like the entire show since that point. He's been acting like, I just want to get with a girl. Like, let's do it.
I think they do a very good job, like, balancing what would be considered, like, very trope-heavy, like, usage of Vash, and then, like, kind of subverting those tropes of being like, no, like, he's not one-dimensional. Like, he just
acts like it.
Right. Like, it's, like, they do a good job of, like, being like, this is a facade, but they don't do it so in your face where it's like, there's no point to the facade, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it also shows in the same vein of like where in the beginning of the show, like absolutely every time he's like doing something cool, they make it seem like he is absolutely accidentally doing it.
Right.
Like it is all like an accident, but as the show goes on, it shows that he's doing it by accident on purpose.
I also think there's a very funny gag in the beginning of the show where Millie just already knows, like, that's Vash the Stampede, and Meryl is like, I wonder if it's him. I thought it was so funny, especially because Millie is like, no, that is Vash, and Meryl's like, but how do you know? And she's like, well, we called him Vash, and he responded.
They're literally like getting tea or whatever. And she's like, hey, Vash. And he turns and goes, oh, hey. And
like, I don't know. Like, for some reason, I thought that gag was really funny. I thought it worked out really well.
But I think it just went too long. Yeah. Like, I thought it was a good for, like, 2 episodes. And then it went on for, like, 5 episodes.
I agree.
It was too long.
I agree, but I also try to look at it in the same vein as, like, how much, like destruction that like Vash the Stampede has in his past, and like every town he goes to, the fucking towns crumble.
I got
and then you find this bumbling moron, and you're like, well, that can't be him.
I got it after like maybe if you wanted to go 3 episodes, like it's pushing it, but like fine. It was just like it was too much, and every time she fucking said it, I just found myself so fucking annoyed because I'm like, you stupid fucking bitch, that's him. Shut your goddamn mouth and stop. Like it's him. Like it made me so angry. I couldn't.
In later on, where they have that like group of kids that aren't allowed in the town, and one of them is the Gun Ho Guns. Mm-hmm. And Wolfwood kills one of them.
Yeah, he kills the kid.
Right. Like, do you think Vash was so, like, affected by that? Not only because, like, he's obviously very against killing people, because, right. But also, like, do you think he saw his own brother in that kid? Because you know how, like, his own brother, when they were kids, he's, like, fucking killing everybody. And he still can't kill him, even though, like, if he did, it would be very justified. You know what I mean? And that's like around the same age. I don't know if I'm thinking too much into it.
I think you're thinking too much. I never got that.
I kind of got that vibe when I was watching. I was
Why
like,
do you get that vibe, but not fucking
million? Yeah, like nobody. Yeah, I didn't get that.
They actually put that there, and you couldn't find that. That's why she was too busy.
Yeah, she was too busy thinking about this thing that didn't exist.
I was too busy, like, way over analyzing the scene.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Like, maybe people could interpret that. I've never interpreted it that way. I just think he didn't want a kid to fucking die. And
well, sometimes kids gotta die. What can I say?
And in that same vein of like, you know, Wolfwood's then trying to justify it to himself like over and over again. Like, right. He just keeps lying to himself basically.
Well, I think there's a difference between like killing a grown man and killing a child.
Yeah. But then to the same thing of the same effect when Vash has to kill the fucking dude with like psychic powers whose name is escaping me.
I know who you're talking about.
Because like everyone's about to fucking die and they're about to kill Millie and Meryl, and he finally has to like shoot him.
Right.
And he's like, I won. Like you have to kill me or I win. Or, like I win either way. And Vash does it, and it's just like it just fucks him up, and he's just like, I'm never doing this again.
Right.
And I think that also, like that character leads to one of the like one of the other bigger moments in the show, the like when he takes over Vash and he makes his arm turn into the fucking like fucking nuke.
Yeah.
And he shoots the fifth moon.
Yeah.
And then you learn about the other time in fucking July Town or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know. I think that like that's such an interesting moment for a character that is all about peace, and then you find out he's a fucking like weapon of disaster himself.
Yeah, like he himself is like a freaking nuke rocket launcher.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even want that.
Right. And then you get the scene when Vash is still following Knives around, even though he doesn't like believe in Knives anymore, and they find like one of the crashed siege ships, and Knives just disappears for a year, and Vash just sits there.
Yeah, he's
waiting.
like, I'll be back in a little bit. Just wait.
And he just sits there
Sat
and waits
there for a whole
year.
ass year. I would have left. I would be like, I'm hungry. Also, I really liked how like the flashback where their Knives is killing everybody on the ship, and she puts him on like the escape pod or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, take care of Knives, and then he's like, I finally realized what she meant. I take care of. I gotta knock this bitch out.
Right.
I don't know why. For me, that was very funny.
And I think that like those flashbacks also have like the exact point of basically, I think what I view as the moral, which is when the butterfly and the spider.
Right.
That Knives brings up. If you don't kill the spider, the butterfly will die. But if you free the butterfly, the spider will die because it'll starve. You can't have it both ways. And Vash is all about finding it both ways. Like he's like, my moral, like I will find a way no matter what. That's a better way of explaining what I believe is the actual overall moral
theme.
Theme, which is that example. Like that it's just and
I think you're right in that's the overarching theme. I think like what I was thinking is more of like a secondary or even like tertiary theme.
Okay. Yeah, that's the what I was viewing, and I just couldn't explain it well enough. Yeah. Like that example, and I find that like whole little interaction really interesting, because then Vash like freaks out and starts like beating the shit out of fucking Knives.
Yeah.
And then that's when they finally like dress themselves differently. Vash cuts his hair.
Yeah, they get their haircuts done.
And like it's that moment where you're like, you understand basically like how they both view the world and why they're both wrong, but also
but
like
Knives
right?
as a kid was such a piece of shit. Like,
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
surprised this crew didn't just kill him.
I mean,
like high key.
He fucking basically led to the murder of all of them, and did lead to the murder of all of them.
Did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But when Vash goes back to the people, right? The like beefcake dude. That's the one.
Brad?
Brad. That's the dude's kid, right?
I think so.
What?
The one that they
like
freeze.
him.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
I think so.
Yeah, because he does look exactly like him, right?
Yeah.
I think for a moment I didn't realize it was his kid, and then there
I
was that
also didn't
flashback
realize
scene,
because then when he liked Jessica, I was like, ew.
Yeah.
I was like, why did they do this? But then I do think it's
His son.
Yeah, I think there is a flashback scene where he is a child.
Yeah,
and
because
yeah.
even when like they're like when Brad is dying, he's saying like, you look exactly how you look when you left, and it's a flashback of him as a kid, but Vash looks the same. That's like the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then Brad sacrifices himself for Vash, and then the girl's like, fuck, I did love him, not Vash. And she's like, all right, bye.
Well, too little, too late.
Yeah, dude, rough.
Yep.
R.I.P.
And then Wolfwood shows up to fucking murder the puppet dude, and he's like, hey, fuck you. And just rocket launchers him.
Yeah.
And I love that scene, specifically the way they animate it, because he's on that flying machine thing.
Yeah.
He shoots the rocket, the sand goes up, and then you just see the fucking flying machine just like crash into the sand, and you see him being like, fuck. Like,
Job well done.
and in that vein of going back to like when he fought Knives, I love the full circle of it because Wolfwood leads to to Vash's victory.
Yeah.
Because he's laying on the ground, he's about to die, and he finds the cross and like kicks it up to shoot the guns out of his hand, and like that's what leads him to win.
Yeah.
Which I think is really like an interesting way to carry on like the character in a like interesting way, that even while he's dead, he still went on and helped,
like helping him from a distance, kind of thing.
Anyway, Kat, do you want to go into like your specifics about what you didn't like? Because I feel like we're just going about what was good, and you haven't disagreed with any of us yet.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it, but you're talking about like the non-boring parts. You know what I mean? So
so what did you think was just not for you?
Like I feel like in between the parts just like took a long time, because even when I was in the plot, the beginning part, what's the guy in the black hair? What's his name?
What the one with the cross?
No, the bad guy. The
the one that had the psychic powers?
Yeah.
Oh, I can look it up real quick, but the psychic power guy.
Even though that was supposed to be like important and like driving it to this new part, I just didn't like it. I just found it was kind of dragging on the way they were going about it, and then when they kind of got like into steady plot, like it was better. But I felt like that kind of, because they were trying to weave it in, which I get, because they were doing what they were doing, like the gun competition,
right?
And, like, so they were still kind of doing
Legato.
like, yeah, so they were doing like half and half. So I felt like that it was just kind of boring. And then obviously in like the first half, villain of the week and everything, so there's a lot of in between of just like, all right, what are we doing here? We're kind of just
so just the pacing was
it just kind of seemed off. I guess
I do agree the pacing, I think it could have helped with a few less episodes.
I was gonna say, I think this show suffers from just being a little bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was 20 or 22 episodes, it would be a lot tighter.
Yeah.
But
I also think that probably comes down to the fact that it went the Full Metal Alchemist route, which was they caught up to the manga and went,
oh yeah,
we're not waiting.
They were like, we just have to wrap it up on our own, kind of a thing.
And I think the difference there is that I think that Full Metal Alchemist still does a really good job with its pacing and interesting story, even if you necessarily don't like it. I think it's just as good. But with Trigun, I mean, not that there's something I can compare it to, I haven't read the manga, but I think that where they went with it, whether or not it has anything to do with the manga or not, is interesting, but it felt like they just took a little too long to like fully click in.
Do you think it's a thing of like, with Full Metal Alchemist, they realized, oh, we're running out of manga real quick, so let's start thinking about like what we can do to like have our own conclusion.
Just whether they planned or didn't plan.
Right. Like, whereas in Trigun, they were like, oh, we're out of manga. Let's just see if we can futz around for a little bit, and then maybe the manga will come out in time for like an ending.
No, because I don't think that they ever went a filler route, really. Like where they were just like, all right, let's circle around till they catch back up and keep going.
Right.
But like, I mean, I don't know. That's not really something I could even know if they were like, oh, we're going to plan for this or not.
Right.
Especially because that's like 90s animation studios. I doubt they even put any information out about that.
No, I also doubt it.
But I mean, like, I'm sure I'll find out when the new show comes out, and then we'll follow that and see how that fucking,
see how it differs.
Yeah, see how it differs.
It's gonna be the new Brotherhood.
It might. I mean, look, I really want it to be good, and I like actually am interested in how it looks too. Like, once I heard it was CG, I was like, fucking, I'm out.
I think if it's, I haven't watched. Is there trailers out? Because I haven't watched
anything.
There's that preview. Okay, so I haven't watched anything from the new. But I think if they go CG and the route of like Beastars, I think that could work.
Beastars.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I can't tell what the fuck she likes
I
and doesn't
love
like.
Beastars.
I know. We went over this about how I didn't like it because you and Colin kept being like, "Oh, it's such a good show.
It's so good.
Don't worry, it's not weird at all. Like, it's okay. Watch it." And then I watched it and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
It's a really well told story about being like 17 years old and trying to like figure yourself out, but you're also like an actual animal, so you have more problems involved.
Nope, hated it. Okay. Anyways, another thing about the show that I don't like, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, like it's just a trope that I don't like, just people being like too overpowered. So like,
So you think Vash is overpowered?
yeah, because at least for the beginning half, nothing bad ever happens. There's like high stakes, but always at the end, like he's just gonna come through
I
and
feel like
boom, it's done. And then every bad guy is just like, oh no, we gotta run away now. Like instead of, I feel like they probably would have tried harder, and then like the ones were like, no, what are we doing, why are we leaving? Like I can't even remember which one this was, but then the main guy was like, don't you see that he shot us all? Like he's too broken, like we have to go. And they were just like, all right, bye. And like they just like left, when that's like their whole point is to be like bad guys.
Right.
So like I don't really like when they do stuff like that no matter what, they're like untouchable, and that they're gonna.
I feel like I get what you're saying, but I feel like this show is almost the least like that, because
But
the
that
fact that
doesn't
he
mean
actually
it's
gets his ass kicked so often.
Not really. At least in the first half.
Oh, in the first half, it's way more goofy.
No,
I
politics.
feel
Yeah.
like he gets his ass kicked as a result of his own choices, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, but I feel like, you know, he
doesn't need
gets
to-
injured like
he
almost
doesn't-
every episode.
He wouldn't need to get injured if he just followed through.
Yeah, if he
Yeah.
actually killed them all.
You know what I mean?
Which is the whole point of when
What?
in
Right.
that filler episode, when you see all his scars, that they're like, oh, this is because of the choices he has made.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and by the way, I think it's such like a rad like look.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
The way that they like showed all those scars and stuff, it looks so cool to me, at least.
Aces.
Yeah. And then you got that scene where he like strips naked for that girl and starts barking like a dog.
Hated that.
Cause
I was like,
oh yeah,
this
it's
is
so
weird.
it's so weird. It's so out of nowhere, but like very in his character.
I'm like, all right, whatever.
I didn't.
Floats your boat, I
didn't
guess.
like
I'm
any
not
of
here to kink shame.
I didn't like any of the
Like
part of like that whole thing. Like I get it, and it was just like showing that he didn't want to. Like he just wanted to go to this like mundane life and like change. I get why I was there, but I just didn't enjoy like watching it.
also, I don't think either of you will get this, but for people that read comics enough, he reminds me so much of John Paul Valley when he's in that little thing. It's you guys, it doesn't matter. But for people that might watch the show and understand, you'll get it. Anyway,
You could have said anything.
yeah. But
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Said
you
nothing.
can continue.
I'm just trying to think of specifics.
Like, did you like the characters? Like, did you like
Oh,
Vash or
Um,
Wolfwood or Millie?
yeah, I
or-
liked the guys better than the girls.
I have an important question.
Yes.
Vash's outfit with the coat or without the coat?
With the coat.
with the coat.
Really? I really like the under
Without?
outfit.
Yeah.
Nah, that
No,
coat's
I-
fucking rad.
No,
the
the
coat.
under outfit with the all black and it's like sleek and like cool, you
Nah.
know?
No.
I
Although I do appreciate the coat, I just think he looks better without it.
I also think that that coat's like 5 seconds of real fame is in the intro with like the moon in the background and has the wind blowing like each stripe and the glasses are all like tinted out. I think that's like the coolest it looks. But I think the coat's rad.
No, I
Yeah.
think the coat looks good throughout
And
the
that
show.
first moment when he fucking like turns out that his hand's also a gun.
Yo.
So cool.
when it's like, oh, you thought you got me? My hand is a gun too. I was like, oh.
And I love that scene specifically because it's finally him being like, you have bested me to this point.
Right.
Like, I don't want to do it because it's more of like, I will probably hurt you with this, but like I have to.
Right.
And I don't know. I think that's also like a really cool thing is that moment that he's
Does
not
the brother
actually.
have a gun hand too?
No.
That's what I thought.
No, Vash got his arm blown off.
Oh, gotcha.
In July Town or whatever,
Right.
when they show that flashback, he pulls the gun on Knives, or both guns on Knives, and Knives is like, really, you're fucking pointing that gun at me again?
Right.
And then he shoots him and his arm just goes fucking flying off.
Right, you're right.
And then he activates the
And
gun
then
and
he
he points it at him again. He's like, are you fucking serious? Anyway.
What else? I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, but so I like the guys better than the girls. Felt like the girls were kind of annoying. I liked Millie better than Meryl, but I felt like Millie's dumbness sometimes went too far and it became annoying.
I agree. I feel like, because I think there's a very fine line
Yeah.
with that kind of trope of having like the
Especially if
character
it's
who's
supposed to be
very
like the
airhead.
comedic relief.
Yeah, there's
like
a
just
point
hitting it
of
too hard.
stupidity
Yeah.
where it loses its charm, if that makes sense. Where you're like, I truly cannot believe you are this incompetent.
Yeah, no, I get
in
like
life.
because like an example of something like I did like
Her and her 30 siblings.
I did like that gag a lot with her like fucking
staying up all
1,000-person
night,
family.
just
Staying up
like
all night.
writing.
She's like, that's what happens when you write to each of
Yeah.
your siblings. And she's like, well, I have to. My middle little sister, my middle
Yeah,
I
younger,
did just
her
like that.
like I thought that was a very funny gag. I
my
like
young sister.
I like that quite a lot. Like her like 100 family members.
Yeah. Was it who said it to her? When she was talking about how she's gullible, and I think it was like her boss told her. I can't think of what it is now, but it's something along the lines of, I think her boss told her that she's too gullible, so she needs her gun or something of the sort. But just the way she's just like smiling, and it's just like kind of dead, and she just goes, ha, and then it, like that one was a good. But like sometimes things she would say, it was like just like too far. I feel like it was just too dumb.
I agree. I feel like they're, especially in the beginning.
I think it's like a combo though, that she goes too dumb, but also is yet one of the most observant characters.
Yeah, well, even Vash says that
Yeah.
she's like, she's smart, but luckily she doesn't know that she's smart.
Right.
So, what do you think? I'm trying to think of others.
I was just expecting you to be like, here's my receipts. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I
No,
thought you
no.
were gonna have receipts too, like ready
No,
to go.
no, I didn't.
You'd be expecting you to be like 2 out of 10.
I didn't
garbage.
rate it that bad. I really didn't rate it that bad. It is a show I would have dropped if I like started it on my own, but it's not as bad as like Handshakers or
Good.
I think
Welcome to the NHK,
NHK.
Which I
like,
still think is a good show.
No.
You're wrong.
like
I think it's a good show.
I think the show did drag on, but not like that.
Right.
Like
do you
was
do you at
too
least
much.
like
Y'all don't
do you
like high
unders-
concepts,
do you-
okay?
Do you understand like the like why it's like kind of like appealed as like one of like the old greats?
I guess so. Like I understand why they did what they did. Like I feel like every point I've made, I'm like I get what they were going for. I just like personally didn't like it. So yeah, like I get why people like it, but it's just like not for me.
Can I ask a question? So
Mhm.
I
I
feel
like how
like
she always has to ask if she can ask the
Yeah.
question. She doesn't just talk.
no, because maybe you have more
No,
to say. You don't want
can't.
me to cut me
you
off.
cannot ask me a question.
You cut her off by asking if she can ask a question regardless.
Well, she finished her statement, but maybe she wanted to continue.
No, go ahead.
So I feel like anime in the 90s is a very different beast than like anime in
absolutely.
2022. And I think nowadays we have a lot of like very conceptual, interesting angles that we like that anime gets to play with, where like you can do a lot more with concepts compared to the 90s, where it was like you were either like a straight up shonen shoujo, or you were just like villain of the week, if that makes sense. Do you think a part of like why you didn't like Trigun is because like we have so much more broad conceptual anime now that's like
Yeah.
a lot more well like thought out and paced compared to like the 90s, where it was just like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna do this for a little bit and then we'll get to the plot eventually.
Yeah, I guess so. Because I only started watching anime like 3 years ago, so like obviously it hasn't been that long.
And you haven't
So-
watched a lot of the classics either.
Yeah, because when I start them, I feel like I don't really like them. So like I've seen a couple of episodes of like Dragon Ball, and I'm like, meh, whatever. I've seen a
Did you
couple
watch
of
Dragon
episodes.
Ball or Dragon Ball Z? Just out of curiosity.
No clue.
Where-
No idea.
Was it children or was it older people?
Older.
Okay,
Big
so you
buff
started with
man.
Okay. It was like 2 episodes, so I wouldn't even say like I watched it. It was
Right.
just like, so I guess so, because
You might like original Dragon Ball. It's very
Could
different.
be.
Very
I
different.
feel like she still wouldn't like it.
Who knows? It's much
Um,
more adventure.
I guess that's true.
but there's lots of shows that people will be like, oh, you know, watch this or this was really good. But I feel like it also has a nostalgia factor to people. So if you don't have that nostalgia factor, you're kind of like watching it. You're like,
You don't get the hype.
yeah.
I would say
I think-
I don't know, like, at least for Trigun specifically, and Cowboy Bebop for me. Actually, most old anime, for me at least, because I didn't watch Toonami growing up. I
Right.
watched Trigun for the first time, like, in college, when I was in Texas. So, like, that was 4 years ago. Same with Cowboy Bebop. The first time I had ever watched it was like 4 years ago. So at least for me, it's not necessarily nostalgia. I just generally liked it. But I know in terms of, like, at least for you, you're speaking more generally, which is
Yeah.
true for most people. Things like Trigun and Cowboy Bebop, like, you watched on like Toonami,
Right.
so it's more nostalgia factor.
Yeah, I
for
feel
you.
like I have a lot of the anime that I watched as a kid. Like, I obviously have like rose tinted glasses on for them. I will say the one anime that I think has never ever dropped off, no matter how old I get, is Yu Yu Hakusho.
I actually thought you were gonna say Yu-Gi-Oh.
No, Yu-Gi-Oh is awful.
Okay, I was
It's-
gonna roast you
No,
because I really thought that's where you were going
okay,
with this.
While I'm
Yu-Gi-Oh is
obviously
absolutely the
Yeah.
worst.
while I'm obviously
that I did watch
obsessed
as
with
a kid,
Yu-Gi-Oh,
so that I
like,
do.
Same.
I have 3 figurines from the same collection. I know I have this one. I have Kaiba and I have the
Oh, I
Korra.
forgot you had Kaiba.
Yeah, I want to get Marek and Joey, and I think that's it for this collection.
You gotta get Joey.
I have to get Joey. But anyway, while I'm obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh, I know it's actively bad,
Okay.
especially the 4Kids like Americanized version.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will, in its
I sent her
defense,
so many
say
Yu-Gi-Oh memes.
the manga series is actually pretty good. It's a lot faster to get through. And if you read like the season 0 manga series, it is nothing like the television show.
Yeah.
It's balls to the walls insanity the entire time,
We
and
have
it's
to have
really
if
good.
we have a drinking game thing, like, can we get enough fans that make like bingo cards? Year 0 or 0 issue of Yu-Gi-Oh is absolutely going to be like the free space. Like, the amount of times you bring that up,
It's so good.
it's just, all right, episode started, just take the free shot of a Yu-Gi-Oh 0.
It's so good. But yeah, like, as somebody who watched Trigun as a kid versus now, I think I'm definitely more like critical of it now, where I think I've just consumed so much media in general since then, and I can think about things more intelligently than I could then, where I was just like, ooh, flashing lights on the screen, that's good.
Yeah.
I still really enjoy it. I just think I can see the flaws in the show. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think it's a perfect 10 out of
Like,
10
I'm
like
curious if you get around to
masterpiece.
Cowboy Bebop, like, what your opinion of it will be, because there literally are only 5 episodes of plot.
I think purely based off style, she might like Cowboy Bebop better,
Maybe.
because it's a
Could
lot
be.
more stylistic in its like animation and the way things look.
Is the only
And
way you're
the
gonna
OP
watch it
always slaps.
if we recommend it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, should I recommend it instead of Jujutsu Kaisen?
Way to spoil what you were gonna do. I don't know. It's up to you. I guess it could be a guessing game. Hey,
All right,
it might
vote
not
right
be
now.
one of those.
Jujutsu Kaisen or Cowboy Bebop. This isn't live, but vote right now.
But right now, for the 5 weeks that we're already gonna be recording that episode when this
Yeah.
comes out.
Literally, we'll be recording the episode for when this one comes out.
But so at least for me, Trigun isn't a rose tinted glasses thing, but I do agree that like it's kind of in the same.
Was it one of the first shows you watched?
No.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say sometimes that does do it
That,
too.
that's me
yeah.
with Tokyo
Yeah.
Mew Mew. When
No.
I
That's
like
how I feel
started
about Free. But
actively
like I know
watching
Free's not like the
anime,
most amazing.
not on television, Tokyo Mew Mew, I was like, damn.
No, I didn't watch Trigun until Kirsten had recommended it to me, and that was like I had been already watching anime because I mentioned like shows I was watching, and she was like, "Oh, if you've watched those, like you might like this too," because
Right.
Kirsten loves Trigun.
Yeah.
She thinks it's great. So like that was who got me to watch it. And then she also got me to watch Wolf's Rain. I was like, fuck, all right, your 2 recommendations you've given me.
She
have been
literally
great.
will never shut up about Wolf's
Wolf's
Rain.
Rain was great.
She's
though.
obsessed with Wolf's
It's
Rain.
so good. You'd probably also hate Wolf's Rain. Who knows? I can figure out what you won't like, but I have no idea what you will.
Don't know.
Yeah.
She's a mixed bag,
She
but it's
really
like
is.
too
Yeah.
mixed.
It really
Yeah.
is. It's too
I
mixed.
feel like I don't have a rhyme or reason. It's just like
You're
I
just like, that's shiny. I like that. This is
Yeah.
not shiny enough. I don't like it.
I
need
but-
more cute girls.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I said she likes cute stuff.
I don't know what to tell you. Probably not.
Need more
gonna,
waifus.
You're probably not gonna like Wolf's Rain, but
No waifus.
no, it's all dudes. Is it
Hot
there might-
dudes.
Yes.
Who knows?
Who knows? It's
Who
a very
knows?
it gets very high concept at the end though. I had to have Kirsten explain it to me.
I was gonna say, I feel like Kat's not here for like high concept, high art kind of like.
It was like understandable until like the very end. Like the last episode hit and I was like, Kirsten, I need you to explain some things to me. And she was like, okay.
Then I probably wouldn't like it. I don't like being confused.
I was just gonna say anything that's like too much brain
Yeah.
power. I feel like Kat won't be into it because she's
No.
like.
I guess you
This
didn't like
is-
Mushishi either.
I did not like
Yeah,
Mushishi.
that was all about-
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like Mushishi was very like high concept, like floaty kind of thing going on.
When did Mushishi come out?
I can look that up real
2001?
quick. Yeah, so early 2000s.
I actually don't think I've liked anything old. Ghost in the Shell I didn't like.
Which
Mushishi
is
I
crazy,
didn't like.
right?
Trigun I don't like.
Okay, so
What
what
else
did
did we
what,
do that
what
was
did you
old?
like? You liked Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. You
But
liked
you can't.
that was
you
your
can't
own
do my
suggestion. Wait,
shows.
did you like Madoka?
Not really. It wasn't
that's
as
not even
it wasn't
old, though.
as bad as
That's not even old though.
Yeah, it wasn't
mean,
as
it's
bad as my
Mushishi
other
was
reviews,
2005.
And
Yeah.
when was
Started.
when was Madoka? 2011? I don't know if that's right. I'm pulling that out of my ass. But that's not even old. But I,
2011.
yes. But it's not even like high concept, if that makes sense.
But yeah,
So
if I'm remembering how I reviewed it, I don't think I reviewed it that badly. Like it just
I
wasn't
think
one
you
of my
just
favorites.
weren't
Like I thought
super
it was
into
cool. I liked
Right.
the art, like everything of that. But yeah, I just wasn't that into it. What else have we watched?
I don't even know if you consider Gurren Lagann old, but you didn't like
Didn't
that
like
either.
that. Yeah.
But that's not even old, my guy. Like, what are you considering old? 90s and further, or like early 2000s?
You didn't like
Early
Spice and Wolf?
2000s.
Spice and Wolf's old.
Yeah. So maybe you're right that there's just too much like now that's just like
I feel like
Oh.
if I'm being honest, I think anime in the past, I would say like 4 to 5 years has literally never been better. Like
Oh, absolutely. Anime
Like-
has never been better.
there, and
I'm just
a-
spoiled, I think.
A part of why I literally cannot get on top of watching anything is there's so much shit that's good that's coming out constantly where I'm
well,
like,
especially right now.
oh my, it's
And
ridiculous. The
I
output,
told Mike that I would get through my list, so I haven't been starting anything new because I've just
Proud of
been
you.
trying to like get my
Like,
shows
plow
out
through.
because I was at like 45 or something.
No,
Oh my
Kat,
God, were you?
You're at the phase where you will have a never-ending
Yeah.
to watch list, and you'll literally never be able to achieve it.
I've had the fucking candy show on my list forever.
Candy show?
Yeah. Dagashi Kashi.
Oh, it was meh. That's like on my list.
I need to watch Dress Up Darling as well.
Yes, you do.
So fucking good.
I think I'm only
Love
like
Dress Up Darling.
2 episodes into that, and it was like just okay. So like that's why I started
It does
watching.
say 2, yeah.
That's why I just started like watching other stuff because it was like just okay.
Right. You're
so-
halfway through fucking Fire Force. What made you stop halfway?
I don't know.
I've only,
that's
like-
the thing. I
I'm,
just
like-
get distracted.
I'm like 10 episodes into
Oh,
Fire
dude, you got
Force.
Nagatoro on here. You only watched 1 episode though.
Yeah, I have to go back to that.
I thought I would hate that show.
They're getting a season 2 that was
Yeah,
just
they are.
announced, so I do
Very,
have to watch
very
that.
Very happy. I thought I would hate Nagatoro, and then it ended up being lovely.
Should we get back to Trigun?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
We were
Sorry for
basically
the kids, guys.
I'm sure that there are some old shows. The only problem is like I feel like you wouldn't watch them unless we suggest it.
Yeah. But
And-
so far,
but,
bad
like,
track.
Because
Don't
like I
them.
feel like having an episode about Cowboy Bebop is almost like pointless.
Right.
Because like we both of us have talked about how much we like it already.
You know what I think is an older manga that I think you would really
You ever
enjoy?
gonna read manga? Do you even read
Quintessential quintuplets.
Manga?
I
That movie
own-
comes out.
I own the
We're
first
all 3 of us are seeing that, right?
5 volumes.
If you ever get into manga, I highly suggest Nana. I think you would actually really enjoy it.
Mhm.
It's like a romance drama. I think it's really good, and this is somebody who read it when they were like younger, and then read it again when
I
I
think
was older.
I've
It's a really, really
I
like
feel like I've seen clips of it.
you-
from the
you
show.
absolutely
we have
have.
to read,
It's-
not watch.
You've only watched 3 episodes of Sword Art.
Yeah.
I don't think
stopped
I
it.
Finish Sword Art?
No, I
I
stopped
don't think I
it.
ever watched the anime, so I don't know like how it
Mhm.
holds up in comparison. I just know that I really enjoyed the manga series.
Mhm.
I think you would enjoy it too. Like, it's a very good like romance drama,
You
and
can recommend the show for all of us.
well, I never watched the show, so I don't know. I don't.
But you haven't
no,
watched Jujutsu Kaisen
No, the reason
either.
why I don't want to recommend the show for Nana because I don't know if it's shit in comparison to the
Yeah,
manga.
but we could find out.
So I don't want to be
together.
like, oh, watch the show. It's gonna be so good.
We
And
can
then
find
it's
out
No,
nothing
it's not
like the
to say
together.
it's gonna be
series.
good. We could just find out though.
Yeah, because you were doing that with Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, obviously, people
Well, I feel like
talk about how
Jujutsu
they
Kaisen
like
I
it,
already
yeah.
know is hype as shit, especially because
Yeah.
I'm reading the manga. So
I'm
trying
behind
to-
on the manga.
I'm trying to catch up on the manga, so I already know it's hype as shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you can't derail that hard from the source material.
But I don't like. I'm trying to think of like I don't know. Anyway, we could talk about this.
Yeah,
after.
Trigun.
But, yeah,
Trigun.
Trigun. I don't know. I guess we can just go into our final thoughts if we
Yeah,
have
and
anything more
rating?
specific. Yeah. So if you want to start.
I feel like I would rate this like a 7.5. I don't know if that's blasphemy because it doesn't feel like high enough for it, especially because
I think its overall rating is like an 8.5 ish.
Yeah, I feel like it's a 7.5. I think it's a really fun watch to just turn your brain off and just like enjoy what's happening on the screen without like analyzing it too far.
Even though you
Primarily,
were.
You can absolutely get it by without analyzing this show.
right. I was analyzing it mainly for the purposes of like anime club of being like, okay, I'll think about it a little harder kind of thing. But I think especially in like the first half of the show, there's really very little to analyze. And then the second half of the show, you can start analyzing it and thinking about it a little deeper and like layers and all that jazz. But even then, it's a little shaky. It's a little wobbly. The delivery's like not solid.
8.2 is its average.
It's a little too long to be like as impactful as it needs to be. So I think it's I don't think it's bad by any means. I just don't think it's this like masterpiece that some people claim it to be. I still understand why it's considered like a classic, like why everybody should watch this show kind of thing, because it does influence a lot of other anime heading forward type deal, and it still looks great now, and it's been like 30 years, you know what I mean?
And the movie also looks great, and it's much more of like just a fun time.
I feel like the movie is just the story, like,
Well, I mean, it's just a part that takes place during the
When did the
story.
movie
Yeah.
come out?
2010.
Oh, it's like way later.
Oh yeah, and it's by Madhouse, and it's pretty.
yeah, the
It's-
movie looks
it's-
really good.
It looks really good because it went from like 1990s Madhouse to 2010 Madhouse.
Yeah, the movie looks so good.
Had a lot more budget behind it too.
Oh, I'm sure it did. I feel like Trigun is one of those things that the name has just been able to like withstand the test of time,
Yeah.
similar to like a Cowboy Bebop or even like the Gundam franchise, except I think especially with something like Cowboy Bebop or Trigun, it's a little harder to withstand because those are both one season shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
I've rated it. Well, I didn't rate it yet. I forgot to put it on my list. But
So the movie came out exactly 12 years later.
interesting. So we're allowed to do halves now? I thought we weren't doing halves.
No, I mean we have
Oh,
we
is
have
that
done halves, but
I didn't know that wasn't allowed, but go
we
for it.
have. But I think we were
Yeah.
saying because
On my anime list,
you
you
can't
can't?
do it. Yeah.
All right, then it's a 7. I'm sorry.
Because I would give it a 6.5, but I think I lean more towards 6 than to 7.
Right.
I didn't hate it. It wasn't the worst. I wasn't miserable every fucking second.
I feel like this is a higher rating for other shows you disliked.
She's
Yeah.
given a lot of 6s. She's given a lot of 6s.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure NHK is the worst one I've
What
done.
you
was
give it
that,
a
like
2?
a 3?
No, I think I gave it like a 4. Because that was just so fucking boring. That one, I actually did hate my life the entire fucking time. This one wasn't that. Like, I do think at parts, like, especially if it got boring, I definitely had to stop myself and just be like, I'll come back to it and watch again because of those parts. Like, it wasn't, to me at least, it wasn't a binge-worthy show to just, like, watch
Yeah, you
it
gave
all at once.
Handshakers a 3 and NHK a 4. And you
Oh,
gave
Handshakers
fucking
was worse.
Spice 'em both 5s.
Yeah, fuck that
And
show.
Beastars a 5.
You gave Beastars a 5, my
Sure
guy.
did. Sure did.
Beastars is so fucking good. I'll die on this hill.
I watched it because you and Colin kept talking about how fucking good it was, and then I watched it and I was like, what the fuck
Goshi
was
is such
that?
a good boy. He's
Okay.
trying his
Out
best.
of five Anime Club shows, she has given 6 or lower.
Yep. Didn't. It's not a good track record with me and Anime
No.
Club.
At least Gurren Lagann got a 7. I'll take that.
I gave it a 7?
Sure did.
That seems way too high. I did not like that show. Why?
I
Why
don't
did I
know.
do that?
Anyway,
I
keep
have to
going.
watch the video and be like,
Keep
why?
going.
Why did I do this? I think I made that up on the fly. Yeah. Okay. So I'll lean more towards 6. Though I do think that I liked this better than Gurren Lagann, but I might have to adjust my score because that doesn't sound right, and I don't want to put this at a 7. So like, I feel like that's gotta go down. I gotta kick that down to 6.
So what the fuck is so you think Trigun's fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that's how it feels. Like it wasn't the worst, but it also wasn't the best. I think that what's his name? Johnny Bosch. I don't know how to say his name.
Johnny
Johnny on
Bosch.
Bosch.
Yeah, I think that he makes this show. I think he did a great job. If he wasn't Vash's voice, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much, just because he's Makoto and free, and so
His
like I
voice
just
is
have
so
like
recognizable.
I just
I
have like a
can
place
only-
for him in my heart.
I can only hear him as Lelouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always just hear him as Makoto
Yeah.
because that was the first thing that I saw because I was one of the good boy, best boy. Because I know you think it's hard, but
It
anyways,
is,
we don't have
but
to talk
that's
about
fine.
it. But I'm trying to think if there's any specifics I want to talk about besides what my rating is. Yeah, I feel like fine is like. That's why I don't think the girl. Whatever. I'm not gonna keep going
So
into this.
so would you recommend it or no?
Oh, I would recommend it. I didn't say that.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's gonna be one of my half-ass answers of if it's for you, yeah. If you tend to agree with
I feel like
me,
at this point, if we have enough like followers that have watched enough anime clubs at this point, they'll know what you're about.
yeah.
And they'll
Even
just-
though you guys don't,
No.
maybe they'll get it though.
maybe they will, and they'll be like, well, if Kat didn't like it, I probably won't.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's gonna be that select few that are gonna be like Cat stands, and then there's gonna be people that are like, "What the fuck is wrong with this
I
person?"
think there's gonna be a lot more of what the fuck is wrong with this person. But yeah, it was fine. So I would say it's not bad enough where I wouldn't recommend it. Like
Right.
NHK, Handshakers, those were like a fuck no, do not watch it. Even if you think that you'd like it, still don't watch it. But this is like, if you think that you would like something like this, then yeah, because it was fine. I didn't hate it. But if you think that you have taste like me, then no, you can skip it.
You can be
So,
mad at
okay.
Kat all you want, but technically she is the reason we have an anime club. So,
It's true.
but yeah, all right, that's your.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I like the show a lot. I don't think it's a 10 because I do think it has pacing issues, and it definitely could benefit from having less episodes, or at least just like, well, I feel like it goes hand in hand. Either more episodes.
They
or
definitely could
less
have
episodes
done
or-
less villain of the week and then just gotten to the plot quicker.
Well, I don't know where it becomes manga to not manga. Like, that might have been the pacing
Yeah, maybe.
of the manga to begin with, and then once they might have caught up at that halfway point and then went, all right, we're just going to go do something else.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where that cutoff is because I don't know anything about the manga. I just know that it strays from it because they caught up and went, fuck it, we're doing our own thing. So that might just be the manga that it went on for that long doing it that way. Hell, the manga might always be villain of the week. I have no idea. Like, I don't know if there's any of the serious undertones at all. I assume there is because, you know, a good portion of the beginning still had those hints.
Right.
So I assume that it is. But for me, I still think it's great. I really, really loved watching it. I feel like I have it as a 9. I feel like it's an 8 or a 9. I feel like I guess I would go closer to a 9 just because I have a lot of fun with it and I enjoy a lot of aspects from it. I think that like all the characters are very interesting. Wolfwood's the fucking coolest dude ever. And I like how character driven it is. I like all the characters and how they interact with the world around them and what happens with them and stuff like that. And I think it's just pretty strong in general. So obviously I would recommend it. But like I could get that it is not for everybody. But I think that it's at least an interesting show to like go back and watch because it led to a lot of what's going on, like a lot of anime today. And it was like it was the first to do something or not first, but it was one of the first ones to like do something different and interesting with like a regular would have been just a shonen manga, and instead branched out into doing something a little more deep and like having more of an interesting and deep plot than anything else. So yeah, I don't know. That's my thoughts, and I also really love the soundtrack. I think a lot of the songs in it are really good. So yeah, I guess that's my. Also, the movie's good. Go watch the movie. You know, it's an hour and a half, if that, and it's really pretty and really good action, and Wolfwood's in it, so that's also pretty great. So yeah, I mean, I would also recommend going and watching that too. Anyway, our next anime club is Sage.
Our next anime club is going to be Jujutsu Kaisen, only because I don't want Kat to suffer.
Thank you.
I think she will enjoy it. Also,
watch her not.
I know, right? Could you imagine?
I'm already halfway through it.
Watch
so.
her not. The second half it ruins
Yeah.
it.
This is not a part of Anime Club, but if you want to go ahead and watch Monster, highly recommend it. It's like 76 episodes. It's incredible start to finish, and the manga is also really good. Highly recommend.
If we ever were actually like on top of our shit and started watching a show earlier, I feel like we could do a longer thing. But
No.
I also think
That's way too long.
what I was gonna say, the other problem is assuming we had people watching us, they would also need to watch that before the episode came out, which is a bit of an issue.
I mean, you have like a month to watch it, so
It's true.
But if you don't enjoy it,
that's true. Then it becomes
forever.
sluggish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then trying to figure out
look,
when you're gonna
we
you have
have-
to time
we have,
that
we
shit.
have a lot of solo episodes nowadays. I'll get around to it and we can just dedicate a solo episode.
That would be
to it.
great because I think Monster is so fucking good.
So, because I've been meaning to get to it anyway at some point. So,
There you go.
Look
anyway.
out for that. Sometime Mike and I will talk about just Monster for an episode.
Do you want to explain what Jujutsu Kaisen is for anyone that may not know?
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet.
Right, that's fair. Hey, so Jujutsu Kaisen's about a like.
He's a demon boy.
Yeah, it like imagine
He's trying his best.
Imagine like Chainsaw Man or fucking Harry Potter, but with demons. And you got some like
Chainsaw
interesting.
Man does have demons.
What
I
is
guess
th-
devils, but
Yeah.
same difference.
What is this explanation? Where?
I don't know. I wanted to see how weird I could get with it. So if you know what Chainsaw Man is, it's literally just Chainsaw Man, but with a school. And if you don't know what that is, it's just kids or people people have like psychic powers, and they are drafted into like an organization to help fight spirits.
Demons.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's actually.
I was getting there.
Yeah, but I didn't know where you were going. I was like, what are you talking about?
They're drafted to fight spirits, and then, the main character, of course, fumbles his way into some shit by accident
Yeah,
and
you
gets some
gotta.
powers he's not supposed to have, and so thus he gets forced into it also.
Yeah, I think it's on HBO Max. I think it's on Crunchyroll, and I think it's only 24 episodes per
Yeah.
season.
Mm-hmm.
So
Also, not for the anime club, but recommend watching the movie. It's really good.
The movie was really good.
The movie was really good, and it's a prequel, so if you it doesn't really matter to the show at all. You could watch it without watching the show.
I need to watch Demon Slayer as well.
I need to watch the second season.
I have to get on that hype
I
train.
watched both.
I was gonna watch the second season, and then half of it was about the movie, and I was like, I don't want to.
No, so there's like a 1.5. So like
The
there's
fuck?
so there's I don't know why they did this, but there's because I watched that too. So there's an arc that's the movie, but arc, and it's literally the entire thing. I honestly.
Yeah, first half is the movie. The second half isn't.
Yeah, so you could just skip to the
No,
other part.
I know,
You
but I
don't
mean,
have
like,
to
that's
watch
why I
it.
didn't watch it, was because
Oh.
like it started with that, and I know that there was.
It's
something
been
that
out
changed.
for so long.
No, I know, but like that's why I wasn't watching it like immediately,
Oh,
and then I
because
just haven't gotten
I
to
watched
it.
that, and honestly, I have to watch the movie again because I can't tell if they added extra shit. Like, I
Probably.
really, I can't tell.
Who knows?
So I don't know, but I enjoyed it, so
Alright.
you should watch it.
Well, hey, that's our review of Trigun. Next anime club is Jujutsu Kaisen season 1, which second season's not even out yet. So I
I was gonna say so.
But so you got 5 weeks for that, and then it will be Kat's pick,
Yay.
and we'll watch something that she'll like.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What if she picks something she doesn't like
On purpose.
on purpose?
I have
Just
watched
to throw
shows
them
that I
off their
didn't.
game.
I have had shows that I didn't like.
It's like
that
how I
watched.
picked Handshakers. I knew I didn't like that.
I could pick the one that I was telling you to watch that I had so many issues with, the BL one. I could pick that.
The
Anyway.
BL one.
Yeah, that I was telling you when I was
have a
watching
great-
it, and
have a
it
great
all
week.
sucked.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a follow, review, and like. And we will see you guys next week. Don't forget to check out Kat at Kat the Moonstar on Twitch. Maybe she's streaming, maybe she isn't. Who knows? And
stream.
yeah.
I've got my sign Nino on my stream.
All right. Congratulations, I
Yeah.
guess.
I
Anyway,
guess.
yeah. See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.